Hey, everybody. This is Jason, and before we get the show started, I wanted to give you a couple of programming notes. The first one is that this is the first episode of the Every Night is Game Night podcast. It is the same podcast as Table for One, same excellent content, I hope, at least. The same stuff that's geared towards the solo gamer community and, gamers of all stripes, but especially our little community here. Just a different title. So Every Night is Game Night is going to be the thing that we're going to be doing from now on. The second thing is that we are branding this particular series of bonus episodes as the Every Night is Game Night preview series, or ENGN preview series. So these are not regular episodes. This is bonus stuff for Kickstarter, pre-order, anybody who wants to preview stuff. Anthony and I take a look. If we really feel like it's something we're excited about, that the community can be excited about, then we're more than happy to get the designer or whoever wants to come on and talk about that particular project in this special series of episodes. So here's number 3 in that series. Enjoy. Every Night is Game Night Preview Series Episode 3, a look at Centauri Saga Season 1 expansion now on Kickstarter with the designer Konstantinos Kevorque. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Yes, welcome to the very first episode of Every Night is Game Night, or this incarnation of the podcast. This is a special episode, not our normal episode. This is part of our preview series. We've done a couple of these with people who are running Kickstarters, and we are really, really, really happy to have the designer of another Kickstarter that's on right now, has a week left in the cycle. So please welcome to the show the creator of Centauri Saga Season 1, Konstantinos Kevorque. Welcome.
Hi, Jason. Happy to be here with you.
Great.
Even in the last minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm always looking for, exciting Kickstarters and all that kind of stuff, and especially for the solo community, because we are basically geared towards the solo community, and this one just kind of leapt out. It's like, this is a very interesting take on different things that solo games don't usually do. So, but before we get to the game, I definitely wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and your media company. So, Vesuvius Media is really interesting. You guys aren't necessarily a board game company. You started as, and you are, a video game company, and you're doing lots of other stuff. So maybe you could talk.
Actually, yes, we can better describe it as a game development studio, and you leave it at that. You don't put in front of it online game, mobile game, board game, no title, just game development studio. So we just really love creating games. Now, whatever the media may be, we are there. We started off as Facebook games and browser games. Then we moved into the mobile market.
Anything that we've heard of?
I don't know. Centauri Saga, for example, has been an online game for like 5 years now, 6, maybe 6. And we have Nocturion, which is another hardcore strategy game. And we ported both of them into the mobile. Now we ported the first one to the mobile market. We're porting the second one, hopefully to release it in a couple of months. And then we decided to go board game and graphic novels too. So it's very difficult to match marketing budgets and make your ideas and your dreams known out there when you have to compete with Arnold Schwarzenegger advertising Mobile Strike or Liam Neeson advertising Clash of Clans. Really, you cannot match these budgets. So we figured out that the best way to do it is to get smart and try to reuse our idea and hit the market in different ways, different revenue streams, and try to build the hype around our products. Take the Centauri Saga lore. It has a huge storyline behind. It has a very big scenario written by one of our great guys here. And then, since we have a foundation, let's do a graphic novel for it. Let's do a board game for it. The same thing with Nocturion, and try to expand it. Generally, what we like to do is to invest in our games. We do not see any of our games as a one-off. Let's do a Kickstarter and then forget the game. Let's go to the next one. No. We have a 3, 4, 5 year plan for any of our games. We're going to be here. We're going to be supporting them. We're going to be upgrading them. We're going to be fixing them. We're going to be making them better and better and better. Constantly listening to whatever the community says. So this is how we managed to stay afloat so far. We have great guys, great gamers, great supporters that have so many good ideas that it's hard to pass on. So we just try to compile them, and then we come up after 6 months with an expansion, with an idea to incorporate everything that they give us.
All right. So let's get right into this board game that you got. So this board game is based on the MMO video game, and it's based on, well, I shouldn't say that. It's based on this idea and this story that you have, and it just kind of generates different game products. You know, it could be a graphic novel or a board game, or all that kind of stuff. The board game itself, you guys kickstarted it, I believe, last year.
Yes, November 2015.
Okay, so 2015. So it's been a little while.
Yeah, it was in November, so it was a year and a half ago.
Okay, so you guys funded, the game came out. Let's before we get into, I guess, community reception and how the community is kind of engaged with the game, let's talk about the game itself and really, introduce it so that our listeners have a really good idea of what it is.
Yeah. So I have a big background in AD&D. I loved AD&D growing up.
Really?
So
me too.
Yes. So
what was your edition? Was it first or second?
Second edition.
Second edition. Yes.
I do have the books of the first, but it was at the exact moment when second edition came up, and I got hooked, and I never moved past second edition, and I never liked the next editions. They were too simplified for me. Back in the days, we even did live RPGs and LARP games. So I got hooked up with concepts where you can create a storyline and you can have a basic system, and then you can build up on it and build stories, build numerous stuff on top of it, and just keep on extending it. So, and I like to collaborate with people. That's how it works. So you have a party, you all work towards defeating one goal. So it was a no-brainer going for a co-op game. Now the 4X just happened during the design process, because we're basing most of the elements of the game in whatever we already had in our online game. Like, we had to explore, you had to defeat aliens, you had to build up star bases to control areas and get some bonuses, you had to keep upgrading your equipment and getting the resources. So it pretty much became a 4X on its own, and we realized after Rado gave us a review that a co-op 4X combination is something that didn't exist out there.
Right.
So that became a new thing, interesting thing that came into the table, and we built up our campaign on it.
So this game, it's a 4X cooperative game. I'm just talking about the base game right now.
So that's the first problem. That's the first problem we have, because when people hear the word 4X, the first thing that comes to mind is Eclipse. Yes. Okay, or Imperium Twilight, which means we play for a month the same session, and we try to beat each other to crap. So this is not our game. We do have the 4X element, but it's a co-op game, and you are playing campaign after campaign, scenario after scenario, and you can do all this in an hour and a half. To make things even more interesting, it is soloable too. So you can play 1 to 4 players. With the expansion, you can go up to 6. So marketing, putting the game into the market, it's tough. It's very difficult. When you open up a game and you already have in your mind how it should be, and it's not an easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
So, I mean, that's interesting, because I hear that's kind of what got me to light up and call you, was that it was a cooperative 4X game, because those are two things that I don't ordinarily associate with each other. Did you find in the community reception that you had to kind of overcome the Eclipse barrier or whatever these other games, the the actual sales pitch itself wasn't enough to distinguish this game from those other games?
It was enough, not the co-op for X combination, but what made it crystal clear that we have nothing to do with the other two games is the fact that we can play it in an hour and a half.
There you go. Yep.
So that made people realize that we're not probably talking about the same mechanics, so let's go through it. Now, the next problem we had with the game was the fact that just like, because I told you I have an AD&D background, my idea was to create a solid foundation of an engine so that I can build different scenarios and different games. So when in the code game you get 5 different scenarios, each scenario is a completely different gameplay. One is search and destroy. The other one is tower defense. The third one is an escort scenario. So it's... and that was the problem we had, was that the way we written the rules in the first game, people were expecting to read the rules once and play the game, which is not the case. So you read the core rules. It's like reading the Dungeon Master Guide and the player handbook, but then you have to read the rules for that story that you're going to be playing, and these might override most of the rules that you have from your core books, right? So we had some issues with the structure of the book in the first edition, and that's why we're running now a new campaign. And I'm actually fixing all these issues by splitting the rule book in two. Mm-hmm. Here are the core rule books. Here is the scenario book, and you can go and you can see exactly what's overwritten and how you can play the game. But at the end of the day, you can even create your own scenarios, and that's what we are trying to do with the players. Get a designer's pack that you can download, create your own cards, create your own rules, share them to the community, and let the game grow on its own.
So yeah, I think the D&D roots of the game, now that you say it, it kind of pops for me. One is that it is a scenario-based group, and you can do a whole bunch of stuff, like the pick up and deliver and the resource management, all that stuff. You also have, as you go in the game, the individual ships, you can improve them. So it's like having a tech tree, which is very, level 1, level 2, level 3 from D&D.
Exactly. And the technology tree in our game, it passed through many variations during the first testing of the game. And we realized that the best way to do it is, the way we have it right now in the game, is that you have all technologies unlocked from day one, and it's your choice which one you're going to equip. So like AD&D, you can have the guy that it's... you can have the wizard, you can have the fighter, you can have the cleric. So you can have the guy that's very fast and he can go do stuff in the game. You can have the guy with the guns, but he's not as fast. You can have the guy that's balanced. And that's how we kill the alpha player effect also in the game. If you are playing with 3 or more players, unless you actually divide the jobs, there's no way you're going to beat the game. Right. If you have a party of 4 mages, you're going to die, full stop. If you have a party with no healer, you're going to die. So it's the same thing with our game. You have to split jobs. Everybody has to do a specific thing. Everybody has to decide what his character is going to do during the game and focus on investing in that path.
Mm-hmm. And then the combat system is... very dice based. So so there are enemies that pop up and there's events. You can go to the Kickstarter page and look at how everything breaks down. I wanted to focus more on some of the big picture stuff in this podcast. But the combat system, every once in a while, an enemy will show up. Whatever the enemy is, it could be all sorts of different stuff that shows up, aliens, asteroids, or whatever. And it's dice based combat. So you're rolling for attack, you're rolling for defense. And from what I know of the original Kickstarter, that was a little bit difficult for people. Like it introduced a lot of randomness. And I saw in this Kickstarter that you've introduced mechanisms to address that. So
just to clarify, the problem was never with the combat itself, because combat has many rounds, so it's not one roll and you're done. And most of the combats you're going to win. Plus, there is no combat in the game that comes as a surprise. Oh, I have a combat now because something appeared. You choose when to battle with an enemy, and you choose which level of an enemy you're going to attack. Now, if you're level 1 and you're going to attack a level 3 guy, and you die, then there's nothing I can do with the dice to fix that. Yes. But we did have some issues with other parts of the game, like exploration, for example, which was just one role. And the game does give you many different powers and abilities to allow for rerolls to mitigate, to try to control the luck factor. But in this version of the game, we changed some things to allow, even if you do not have the cards, even if you do not have the abilities, you still do not lose as much if you lose. And that was the main problem, because the penalty was extremely high. It could stack really fast. And like Pandemic, for example, Legacy that you play, if you draw 4 cards of the same color at the beginning of the game, you know that you lost it. Yeah. So it was exactly the same thing with our game. If at the first couple of rounds you lost 50% of the exploration encounters, you are going to have a very, very tough time, and you have to be lucky to beat the game. So that has been fixed completely. And to say the truth, we couldn't live with that rule, because when you go to a legacy campaign, you are not allowed to leave things in luck, because you cannot undo, right? So whatever you do in session 1 is going to live with you in session 2, 3, 4. So we had to pretty much exterminate the luck factor and allow room for more failed rolls. And that we fixed in the core game, and that's what we are basing the legacy on.
So you said the magic word, legacy, which gets a lot of excitement in the gamer community. But before we get to the expansion, I just wanted to ask one thing, which was very interesting. We were talking a little bit before the call started about community feedback, interacting with the community. I imagine that's where a lot of the criticisms about the randomness and getting stuck and all that kind of stuff, and then some of the other issues that came up. So could you talk a little bit about your experience with fan interaction with the last Kickstarter and now this one?
Well, the fans, the only thing that you can do is love them. That's the truth. Okay.
You're like your kids. You have to love your kids.
Yes, exactly. And truth be told, the people that are harsh and they give you the negative comments are the ones that usually give you the better feedback. Okay? So what we have learned in the last 6-7 years that we are running this company is that every voice matters. That's our motto. Every voice matters. So no matter what people say, from the simplest thing to the most complicated things, we always take it and put it onto the table and see what's happening. It's not easy to handle the community, especially if it's a hardcore community that has played many games and they have a certain way of, a certain set of expectations. And we are a new company. Okay, this last year it was the first time that we did a Kickstarter. It was our first game, and we do have a little different way of approaching things. So we are not going to do a Kickstarter and forget it. Yes, we made a couple of mistakes, but we were there to fix them. We were there to give replacements. We were there to reprint the rulebook and send it to the people. And we are here to listen to constructive criticism and attend as many things as we can. Unfortunately, you have to battle. The good thing is that we have people that have played the game and they loved it. We were fortunate enough to be able to set a couple of events during GenCon and another couple of events during Essen Spiel last year. And that was a good thing, because people got to play the game with me and my friend that is the developer of the game, and they saw how the math works, and they saw how you can pretty much address everything with correct strategy. But also it was a very good thing for us to actually meet like 120 people that played the game and get feedback, live feedback, which is way different than getting reports back from playtesting. Way different. So that helped us.
So did you use those cons as kind of playtesting fields and gather a lot of information and get a lot of feedback there?
We did do a lot of playtesting before the cons, but at the cons you can actually get to talk and see people interacting in front of you. You know, there's a different thing to watch players play your game and see what the problems are in real time. It's a different thing to give the game to be played and then you get an email with a report. Okay, so the live feedback was way more helpful than the feedback we got before.
So it actually brings up, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm delaying the legacy talk, but this is so interesting in terms of like game development and design. You also design video games in your house. So yes. I imagine the process of developing a board game, like you're talking about, there's a lot of like interactive feedback, playtesting, console, that kind of stuff. How is that different from developing the video game side of things?
The video game, it's a little bit easier because you can adjust things real time and you can get almost immediate feedback about how your change affected the world or the mechanics of the game. Whereas in a board game, it's not as easy to find players to sit down and replay the entire strategy that you changed. In the mobile game, you already have 1,000 players playing. So you make a change and then in a day or two, you already see the math working, even in real time. So it's like you have eyes on everybody because you actually have, speaking from the server side. So it is a little bit easier, but our process is pretty much the same. So for our online games, we discuss everything through forums, through private messaging, through chat. Everybody can find somebody from us and talk directly whenever they have a problem, whenever they have an idea, whenever they have anything that they want to discuss about the game, and then we take it, we fix, we apply some patches to the game, and then we reevaluate. The same thing that you do with a board game. It's just that with board games, it takes a lot more time. Mm-hmm. Imagine that if I want to change 10 cards, I have to actually print them, cut them, create a prototype, let's go again to the table. And if it's 10 cards, it's okay. If it's 100 cards, that will take about 5 hours just to prepare the cards.
Right. Okay. Yes, cool. Yes, so I like I said, I feel a little bit bad. Let's definitely get to track to talk about your newest expansion. So the Centauri Saga expansion is out now, and the big feature that you've introduced is Legacy. So I think a very easy question is why Legacy, but knowing what I know about your company, I know why Legacy. Legacy is an engine for story building, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, like there's campaign-based games, but Legacy introduces that element of you can't go back, which adds that element of, oh my goodness, I'm in the story and I'm like, there's more of kind of an immersion feel. So tell us about how that process came about for you as you introduced Legacy into your game.
So first thing, I've played Risk Legacy, not that much fun. Pandemic Legacy, I really liked it. Seafall, not that much fun. You see, PvP versus co-op. Mm-hmm. You see a pattern there.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're a D&D player, so
yes, exactly. So, to me, Pandemic was show me a way where I can enjoy a really nice story. It felt like I was watching a movie with 3 of my friends, and that movie took like 4 months to finish, and we actually affected it. That's the feeling that I got. So this is what we want, and this is what we are actually doing in our own games. In the online game, what you are doing is that you are playing the game, but every step of the way you unlock a new chapter from a big storyline that we have. And that's the unique thing that our games have, that they do have a lore behind it. You're not playing just to build the troops and build buildings and attack other players. No, I don't care about these things, me, personally. I care about the story. So that's what we had. And I was trying to figure out a way to give that to the board game. That's how I came up with Centauri Saga and scenarios. So in the scenarios, I was giving part and bits and pieces of a story. Now, when Legacy concept came, because a legacy type of game is pretty much a story, then it was pretty much the next step that we should take. It was way easier for me to go sit down and design. I already have a system that can support scenarios and sessions, consecutive or not. Now I do have a huge story to tell, and because Centauri Saga has a big storyline behind it, sure, with many things that I cannot give you an insight right now because it's going to be a spoiler. So we just sat down with my scriptwriter and we found a way to create 8 sessions that tell a really cool story, and you go from one to the other. You are playing pretty much a movie. Yes, actions that you do in the first session affect things that's going to happen in the second, the third, and the fourth, but still you are going through a storyline, and you're going to have a really big fun doing it with the rest of your friends. That was our goal. Now, another thing that bothered me is that since I'm a board gamer myself, the biggest problem we have as board gamers is budget. And let's be frank about it. Okay. So when I pay $90 to play a game once, that feels a little bit strange. Yes, did I have fun? I had fun, but still it's $90. And what's going to happen in season 2? Another $90. Season 3, another $90. It feels, it's hard. So I didn't want to do the same thing with my games. And that's where the expansion concept came up. So if you see, the expansion is the legacy, not the core game. So in our game, it's the $55, which is the core game, and then $45, depending on what we're going to be putting inside the box, is going to be season 1. The same thing, season 2. And whenever you get the season 1 expansion, after you play through these 8 to 16 sessions, you still end up with 2, at least, scenarios that use the components that you unlocked and revealed during your legacy. So at the end of the day, you pay $40 or $45, which is half the price of any legacy game out there, and you still upgrade your core game. Mm-hmm. So for me, the legacy expansion was everything that I wanted to put into my games, exactly the way I dreamed it.
So then, like you talk about taking a lot of the lessons from the existing legacy games. Did you reach out to Rob Daviau or to listen to his notes and talks about legacy and all that kind of stuff, or was it?
I didn't reach out, but I have attended his lectures. For example, DDC in San Francisco. He was great. Of course, you have to learn from the best, right? Mm-hmm. It's number one board game. Like if you don't study what everybody else is doing, then you're doing something wrong.
Okay. So you're definitely, so this game really builds on the shoulders of, like a next evolution type of where Legacy should go.
I wouldn't like to raise the bar that high, but
okay, I guess.
But
I guess in terms of maybe I'm overstating just for the hype purposes, but I definitely, when you were talking about, when you're done with Legacy, you're done with Legacy. That was probably my biggest issue with Pandemic Legacy. I loved it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But at the end of it, I have a board, I have pieces, and they don't do anything. And I would love to have been able to play further scenarios in that world that I've created, that I did for whatever 12 months, and continue to do stuff there. It doesn't have to be like this huge story, but like further adventures, So it sounds like you found a way to introduce
our game. Yes, we are using the Legacy expansion as an excuse to give more content to the players. But in instead of just giving you a box with 4 or 5 scenarios and new pieces of miniatures, no. What we do is that we give you a campaign, and the components are hidden inside boxes. So first of all, you have to play to find out what's inside the box. And after you've played, then, you have a couple of scenarios that use all this new extra stuff that you unlocked during your Legacy campaign. Mm-hmm. So you don't throw anything, and you get to reuse. And if you are into designing board games yourself, you can definitely create a really cool story and sell it with the rest of the community in our portal.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So then, along with the Legacy component, are there kind of the standard stuff that comes with expansions? So like more characters, more events, more tiles, all that kind of stuff?
More miniatures, but I'm not giving away what.
Right. So are they all behind the Legacy wall, or is there stuff that's playable? Oh, so you have to. So when you buy the expansion, you have to play that first Legacy session in order to start unlocking stuff.
Yeah, well, okay, have to. Now, if you don't want to play Legacy, you can always open all the boxes and then go read the scenarios and play the scenarios, right? Nobody's stopping you from doing that, but okay. In my mind, I would like you to play the Legacy campaign, and then
I got you. Although I will say, looking around the community, how they've responded to like the Seafalls, I'd say the majority of gamers are definitely on the camp of, okay, I'm not just going to open all the boxes. Maybe they'll do it like they'll open box 8 at the end after you've done
definitely.
that. But
everybody that finished the Pandemic Legacy went and opened the box 8 at the end because they want to see what's in there.
Gotta know.
I got to know what would have happened if I lost.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that is the Kickstarter. Is there anything else that you'd like the community to know about the Kickstarter? It's running this week. We're going to, hopefully our community kind of has access to it. If they didn't see it before, they'll see some other stuff. So is there any other parts of the campaign that you'd like people to know?
No, right now we received a really good help and support from the community. We have already surpassed our goal and our expectations for this campaign, to say the truth. And the way it goes, we're going to unlock at least one more boss probably this week. And then we hope that by the end of it, we're going to be unlocking even more content. We have some really cool ideas for what's going to happen after the last boss is unlocked. And with the new expansion of the Special Ops, we got that chance to add a really cool sidekick to the game, which is going to be usable with everything, with the Legacy, with the Arena. We do have an Arena component too there, just because people like to play PvP. I don't. But since people like to play PvP, you can even play PvP. But it's co-op PvP for ours. That's how I call it, or team PvP.
Yeah,
so it's team versus team. Yeah. Yes, it's not 4 players playing everybody for himself. No, it's 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. And with scenarios like capture the flag or go search and kill somebody, find somebody. It's different scenarios. We have 5 different scenarios, different arenas, that with different rules that you apply in its case. So this game, I built it so that it can be polymorphic and it can adapt to whatever ideas anyone from the community might have. That's my dream for this game. We do not plan to let it go as easily, and we will keep on upgrading and building up on it, no matter what. Okay, so.
So actually, just to step back, I forgot one of the questions. This is a Solo Games podcast, so tell us a little bit about how you intended a solo player to receive this. I know it's a cooperative game, but like, D&D solo is not the same as D&D, with a party or something like that.
Yes.
So is there...
So
go ahead.
The difference here is that the DM is the scenario. Okay, so every scenario has a mechanic on its own, and it's playing the game. And you have to somehow adapt to whatever is happening to the world and figure out a way to beat the scenario. So in this case, the solo game would be like you have a DM and you have one player. Okay, it's not one player on his own without a DM. The DM is the game itself. So, and that applies also to our legacy components. And the way we have written the mechanics and the sessions, you can play one session with 4 players, then you can play the next one with 3, the next one player, the next one 4 again. It doesn't matter. So the mechanics are, every scenario scales up or down depending on the number of players, and you can play it without problem from 1 to 4 players. And 5 or 6 if you have the expansion, not the legacy. The legacy cannot be played with 5 or 6 players. We couldn't balance the math.
So then so you have one player. How did you manage? Because in multiplayer, you need the cleric, you need the wizard, you need the healer, you need the whatever.
Yes,
how did you manage that with one player?
Yes, when you are playing one player, you have one character sheet, but you are in control of 2 spaceships. So you're actually having 2 poems. Now I've seen in the forums that in some videos that people like to play with 2 different character sheets. This is for me. This is not solo play. This is playing 2 players, but you're controlling both players. Now the game has specific solo rules where you have one character sheet, but you just need 2 spaceships because the way the game is designed, you probably need to do at least 2 strategies. One doing crowd control, and the other one trying to do exploration and do some missions. So you need to be at two different places on the board at the same time. That's why the game has a mechanic on how you can use two spaceships, like an armada, but you have one commander, one character sheet, one technology tree, just two spaceships.
Okay, so it's like the fighter and the rogue. The fighter holds off all the enemies while the rogue sneaks around the dungeon and gets all the treasure.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I think that we've basically covered everything about Centauri Saga. What's in store for Vesuvius Media in the future? You know, where can we find you? What projects do you have coming out in the future?
So we did a very successful Kickstarter campaign in November for Dwarf's Fall, which is a really cool and casual game. It looks extremely cute and simple, but the game builds up. And it has way more strategy than you think it has when you first take a look at the game because of the cute graphics. Now with Luis, who is the designer of the game, we're coming up with a new game that's, again, very cool, and we're going to run a Kickstarter campaign in June. And this is going to be the first time that we're going to be running a Kickstarter campaign while we haven't delivered the previous one. But after a year that we have managed to deliver all our projects on time, and actually two of them a month earlier, I think that people know, and they know that we're going to stick to the plan. And the idea is that we're going to deliver both projects in October. The problem with Centauri Saga is that because we opened the new bosses, they require a month for its mold to be processed. So there's nothing we can do but wait. So the game is going to go for October. It could have gone for a couple of months earlier, but with the new bosses, there's no way we can do it earlier.
Right.
So we're going to run a new Kickstarter campaign for the next game from Luis in June. And then we attend all major conferences. So we're going to be in UK Expo in England. We're going to be in Gen Con, Indianapolis, in the United States. We're going to be in Spiel, Essen, Germany, in October. So people can come, play test games with us, get to meet us. We're always open to ideas. If you want something, you can come and find us. And we are launching also 2 mobile games in the next couple of months. So we are going to keep ourselves busy, and we're going to keep on building up on our games.
Are you going to be at either PAX Unplugged or BGG-Con?
BGG-Con?
The 2 cons in November, they scheduled them both at the same weekend, which is unfortunate because they're both tabletop conventions. But
yes.
That's going to be some pretty big stuff going on there.
Yes, we're based in Canada, so flying down to United States is not as easy as it sounds.
Got it.
So,
it's not easy at all. No way.
Yes. And it's not actually attending, it's easy. Moving your products also is not easy. So,
right.
Yes.
And so I don't think
I'm going to be in BGG-Con, but I'm not saying anything because we're still growing, and we try to do as much as possible.
Great.
Now, for us, our plans for the future is that at least Dwarf's Fall in November, then we're coming next year with Dwarf's Winter, and then Spring and Summer. 4-year plan, I told you before. Centauri Saga, last year, Season 1, this year, probably Season 2 in 2018. So we're going to keep on building on our games. We're not doing anything one-off.
Great. So the Kickstarter is Centauri Saga Season 1. That is the Kickstarter that is current on Kickstarter right now. So you can go ahead and take a look, see if this has been interesting for you, if you want to back that. The company is Vesuvius Media, so you can check them out on all the social media platforms. Google it, and it comes right up. And I've been talking to Konstantinos Kevorque, the designer, the founder, and a very, very enthusiastic gamer. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much, Jason.
And that'll be all for episode 3 of our special preview series. Hopefully many, many more episodes to come. So I wanted to thank Konstantin for giving us his time and his enthusiasm and sharing some insights about the game that he has on Kickstarter right now. And I want to thank you guys as well, and you gals all out there. The community really has been really enthusiastic. A lot of great feedback about the name change, about some of the content. Please keep the feedback coming. You can reach us on all sorts of social media platforms, on the BGA Podcast main Twitter feed, and also on the ENGN _podcast Twitter feed as well. We're on Facebook. We're on BGG. We're all over the place. So we really want this to be a interactive effort on the part of Anthony and myself. Please, if you have any ideas about the show, if you have any ideas of designers, publishers that you want to hear from, we'd love to have them on and to have chats just like the one that we just had. So until next time, later, everybody.